Teams that have a long history of meeting one another in the Grey Cup, Montreal and Edmonton. Today, they are both one step away from getting to the big game. Let's find out who's going to stay and play in Montreal a week from now. Here are Rod Black and Dwayne Ford.
Inside Olympic Stadium, TSN, the exclusive broadcaster of the Canadian Football League, proud home of the Grey Cup to be played under this dome next week. The Alouettes and Eskimos ready to tangle again, albeit in an Eastern final.
And it's so much of the talk coming into this one has been about the offenses, but let's talk about the defenses and what they have to do. Fred Perry, a Grey Cup champion a year ago with Saskatchewan. He's looking to shake up Anthony Calvillo, Diamond Ferry, underrated Alouette linebacker, trying to rattle the unshakable Ricky Ray on the other side. Let's see if they can get it done.
Here was the coin toss a moment ago. Well, no surprise there. The Edmonton Eskimos, however, deferred. Are you surprised based on what the Montreal Alouettes have done this season when Mark Trestman's team gets the football right away?
No question about it. I'm surprised for that reason. Montreal wants the ball first. Montreal's dying to take the ball first because that's where they ram it down people's throats and set the tone for football games. The other reason this is a shock, an indoor game, it's not like you're waiting to see if weather conditions are going to change at halftime. Very surprised by the Eskimos' decision.
Here we go. Two teams that have met many times in the Grey Cup game meet for the first time for the CFL's Eastern Championship. One team will stay and play next week. The other will watch. Noel Prefontaine with the kick. Brian Bratton, Larry Taylor were back. And Bratton brings it to the 39-yard line, and Anthony Calvillo and his timing, quick strike offense to work right away.
Anthony Calvillo is, of course, the key, ranking first or second in so many key offensive categories. But you heard the guys talk about it in pregame. Another key for AC, number 18, Jamel Richardson, arguably the league's best player in the month of October. Those 16 touchdowns led the league. 8 of them, Rod, came in the month of October.
Anthony Calvillo has not played in 20 days. He had the final regular season game off, rested him for the playoffs. Let's see if the rest led to any rust. Calvillo quickly, and his favorite target, might that be an omen today, Ben Cahoon.
Connection between Calvillo and Cahoon, as it has for so many years, getting things going for the Montreal Alouettes. You saw some pressure from the Edmonton defensive line. They're going to look for people like Fred Perry, Brandon Guillory to bring that heat. The veteran Shannon Garrett holding down the fort, one of the few holdovers from those 2005 Grey Cup champions, lending some experience here.
Second down and 6. A little out pattern and dropped by Brian Bratton, and such a rarity for the Alouettes when they get the ball first this season. Have only had 2 2-and-outs the entire year, and there it is. Their opening drives have always led to red zone or a scoring play.
On the immediate question that's going to come to mind, you heard the panel guys talk about it, a timing offense with their quarterback 20 days since his last game. Is that timing going to be an issue here?
Damon Duvall missed the final game as well for the Alouettes. Tristan Jackson dropped it, brought down at the 22-yard line after getting it back. And the other name on the marquee, of course, when you have Anthony Calvillo, Ricky Ray.
And Ricky Ray, the CFL's leading passer in terms of yardage. Many of those passes are going to go to the 2 guys you see there. Running back Calvin McCarty, fullback Mike Maurer. This receiving core has rebounded so well after the loss of Jason Tucker. They've all stepped up in their own way. Kamau Peterson, Fred Stamps, and of course you'll also see a whole lot of Kelly Campbell when they go to their 5 receiver sets.
Play action to the far side of the field. Maurice Mann nowhere to go. Only a yard pickup, perhaps. Swarming Montreal defense read that perfectly.
And swarming, a great word to describe this group. This is what they do so well, is run and cover a lot of ground. Speed on the D-line, led by Karan Williams, who had 10 sacks this season. And what I think is the strength of this defense, their linebacking core. All of these guys were collegiate defensive backs. They can all move, all cover a lot of ground. Their goal today is to use that speed to throw off Ricky Ray's rhythm.
2nd and 8. Very loud here at Olympic Stadium. Ray downfield. Fred Stamps makes an outstanding catch for a first down.
Fred Stamps, such a big key to this offense. He missed the last 4 games of the regular season. They feel he's the X factor here today because people have forgotten about him. He recognizes zone. Watch him sit in behind Diamond Ferry in front of Khalil Carter. Ricky Ray uses the touch to drop it in there perfectly.
Stamps limping again, missed some time late in the season. Sarah Orleski is with us today on the sidelines. We'll get an update. Handoff, A.J. Harris right side.
You won't see the Eskimos run the ball a ton, but you will see their running backs get a lot of touches as they try to control the ball here today. One thing that could affect that run game, the absence of the regular starting fullback, Mathieu Bertrand, out with a deep bone bruise that he suffered to his leg last week. Mike Maurer takes his spot in the starting lineup here today.
Eskimos do not run the ball very much, if at all. They do use their backs in motion, screen passes a lot. 2nd and 9 here. Ray again heaves to the far sideline and laying out, no catch, Maurice Mann. And so now the Eskimos will have to kick the ball away.
Like two heavyweights feeling each other out in the early rounds. The shootout that we expected may not be quite so immediate, but of course lots of time left.
So much emphasis placed on the offenses this week. So much talk about AC, Anthony Calvillo, and Ricky Ray. The defenses, I'm sure, have used that talk as bulletin board material. Larry Taylor is back. Prefontaine at his 30. It's that left leg into it. Taylor bobbles the ball out of bounds. 46-yard kick. Alouettes back on offense when we come back. 2nd possession now for the Alouettes. Avon Coburn's first touch of the afternoon.
Well, we've seen both return men have trouble handling the ball here on each of their first opportunities. Tristan Jackson lets this one go off his pads and hit the ground. At the other end, Larry Taylor sort of bobbled this one as he ran out of bounds. Wonder what the concern is here. Some might suggest it would be the lights, but on the ends of the field of this stadium, you see the lights that go around, but at the actual ends of the field, there are no lights, and that's the view these guys have. So it'll be interesting to find out if this is just a case of nerves or if there is some factor, Rod.
2nd down, Calvillo in trouble and throws it away, and the first amount of pressure on AC today. Speaking of AC, there is some air conditioning and fans in this building. Hard to believe that we're talking indoors, and there is a bit of a breeze. There is some wind here.
Yeah, something that's kind of unique, as you said, whether it's a matter of the air conditioning going, or we talked to Coach Mike Kelly, Edmonton receivers coach Mike Kelly, prior to the game. He said he's seen indoor stadiums where they'll open up the garage doors to let a breeze come through sometimes as well.
Damon Duval has it blocked, and the touchdown. Justin Cooper with the block and the biggest play early in this ball game for the touchdown. Former University of Manitoba All-Star Justin Cooper.
In a game where much was made of the battles between offense and defense, it's special teams that come up huge. Justin Cooper with a short line straight up the middle here, nearly took this ball off Damon Duval's foot clean for the easy touchdown. Tristan Jackson didn't have to worry about trying to handle that ball. He loves it when the other guys make it easy for him.
Justin Cooper, part of the Manitoba Bison Vanier Cup Championship last year. CFL rookie this year, has got some playing time with the Eskimos, and now one of the biggest plays of his career early in this ball game.
Putting the onus now on a Montreal team that's not used to playing from behind early.
A very quiet Olympic Stadium now. Fontaine, the point after. A blocked punt, and Mark Trestman's team is down 7. Thorpe, former Montreal Alouette assistant, hails from here. Now the special teams coordinator of the Edmonton Eskimos, and his special team comes up with something very special early on.
Well, they sure did, and you have to credit Noel Thorpe for that recognition and film study, something that can't be overlooked in that part of the game.
That cluster formation that Noel Prefontaine uses when he kicks off. And once again, it's Bratton on the return, and he gets leveled by Tyler Klutz. But let's go back to a big play by rookie Justin Cooper.
Well, this is that film study that I talked about. Justin Cooper lines up in the A gap between the center and guard here. They overload the side that they know Duval is stepping to kick. Up the deep back there, Darren Diedrich should have slid over to take him, but he stayed on his side, leaving Cooper free for the easy block and score.
Now the Alouettes look to answer. Lots of motion. The handoff to Coburn, and right away in the backfield, Eric Taylor trips him up. The Alouette offense very flat to start this ball game.
Well, they sure are, and you know this is something that the Edmonton Eskimos talked about coming into this football game, the need for them to set the tone against Montreal's offense rather than letting Montreal get it going. Big Eric Taylor, 300 pounds in the middle of that defense, showed some speed to track down Coburn from behind on that play.
Second and 13 now. AC in the pocket. Penalty flag flies. Calvillo with a spin. Lunging forward, but we'll have to see what the penalty call is here. Brandon Guillory in on the tackle as Anthony Calvillo avoided a sack.
Well, look from here like Fred Perry might have jumped early from his right defensive end spot.
Ken Lazarick is the referee today.
Offside, Edmonton, number 41, 5-yard penalty, repeats second down.
So second down and 8. Calvillo did not make it to the first down marker, so they would have had to kick without that penalty. There's Fred Perry, who a year ago was helping the Saskatchewan Roughriders win the Grey Cup. Season of adversity in Edmonton. Broke his ankle early on. He's back. Big play last week. Calvillo. There's a first down to Coburn. The Alouettes, too, can get their backs out of the backfield, and they'll do that a lot.
With the skills offered by Avon Coburn, they'll even use their backs with a little more oomph, so to speak, than does Edmonton. Edmonton tends to run swing routes, screen plays, a lot of flat routes with their backs. Here you see Avon Coburn actually get out as a true receiver rather than releasing from the backfield and run that deeper out route. And that makes them even tougher to cover when they get matchups they like.
Avon Coburn, who was on pace at one time for a 1,000-yard receiving and 1,000-yard rushing season. Never been done before, and then got hurt. Calvillo once again out of the backfield. Coburn, the little lean at the end, looks like he has another first down. So those running backs will release a lot, and you can see what the Eskimos and Alouettes have done when they do that this year.
Well, more than any other team. People talk about Montreal running a West Coast style offense where they throw a lot to the backs, and certainly Edmonton during Ricky Ray's time has always been a throwing offense. This is how they execute ball control. Not teams that run the football a lot, but use the short passes to their backs. High percentage plays that allow them to control the football and the clock.
Coburn again, and cuts back. on second down. And more favorable spot this time. It looked like he might have had the first down on the previous play.
Well, it looked like there was a bit of a cutback lane here for Coburn as you see him start, but quickly Sadiq Shabazz, Shannon Garrett step up to fill that hole.
Montreal offensive line. Last year, Anthony Calvillo, Alouette quarterback, sacked 68 times. This year, only 22 times. They've done a terrific job. Here's the rush. Calvillo goes for Kerry Watkins, who can't lay out, and Anthony Calvillo was hammered as he threw that football.
This is a classic part of the chess match between two coordinators. Defensively, you know you want to bring pressure on Anthony Calvillo. You've got to hurry him up, throw off his timing a little bit. They do that with Kenny Onatolu off the edge. He's the free man. Calvillo's got to throw in a hurry. The way you get a defense to stop blitzing you is to try and hit those big plays so that they want to put more people back in coverage. Montreal tried to respond by doing that. But give that round to the Esks.
Just over 6 minutes to go, opening quarter. 2nd and 10. Calvillo has to dance from the pocket. Has the first down. Anthony Calvillo is not exactly a sprinter, but he can do that, and so too can Ricky Ray.
This is where you have to be so aware as well, Rod, about dropping a lot of people in coverage. You can't turn your back on Anthony Calvillo because he will make you pay like he did here. And his receivers as well, you see right at the bottom of the screen, there's Ben Cahoon, recognizes that Calvillo's going to run, keeps his body in the way. You see that post-up move to put his butt on Shannon Garrett to wall him out of the way and give Calvillo room to run.
Alouettes moving the ball. Eric Delorier, the rangy receiver. That ball, however, on the timing route, mistimed.
One of the first poor throws of the football game from Anthony Calvillo. For as much as Montreal has started sort of slowly here, you could argue with a couple of 2-and-outs. Doesn't appear that AC is really showing any rust after that lengthy layup.
Calvillo, a couple days ago, named a CFL All-Star at the quarterback position, a nominee for the most outstanding player as well. And again out of the backfield. Coburn gets the call again. But looks like he's going to be a little shy here. Again, we'll have to depend on the spot.
Well, we've seen Anthony Calvillo run a couple times in this football game already, Rod, and we've seen him go to those check down routes to Avon Coburn. A sure sign that Edmonton is doing a good job in their deep coverage. They want to avoid giving up any big plays. They know that Calvillo is going to get completions and get yards. That's inevitable. But you try to avoid giving up the big one, and that's what the Esks have managed to do thus far.
Anthony Calvillo coming over to chat with Mark Trestman. 3rd down here and a yard, and Calvillo's not going to win the argument with the head coach. Points, I guess, obviously a premium in this game. They will bring out Damon Duvall.
Well, they no doubt feel like Damon Duvall is money from this point on the field. They want to make sure they don't end this drive with any sort of disappointment. Try to make sure they put something on the board here.
Again, Duvall missed the final regular season game. He had to pass a kidney stone. He too has not played in 20 days for the Alouettes. Clicks at 83% this season. Kind of hooks it, but it goes through. And the Alouettes are on the board, down 7-3. The end of the day, only 2 will be left. Eskimos lead by 4. 4 minutes to go, first quarter. Ricky Ray to Maurice Mann, knocked out of bounds. I'd say the Edmonton Eskimo coaching staff's getting a little worked up.
Well, particularly special teams coach, secondary coach, Noel Thorpe.
Wow.
A little fired up.
Jason Goss.
Accidentally whacked Goss in the face mask there as he was celebrating the Montreal decision to kick the ball on 3rd down. Those hands, he doesn't feel a thing now, but those hands will be sore tomorrow when the adrenaline wears off.
Danny Machocha, who grew up 8 minutes from Olympic Stadium. Native Montrealer, back here, former Alouettes coach. Second down.
Well, Edmonton tried to create a little bit of a rub situation where they were running receivers through traffic, but Clown Peterson, it looked like, was the intended target, and he was unable to get to the spot that Ricky Ray wanted him to in time.
Once again, Eskimos, Noel Prefontaine, 14 playoff games now. 13 of them have come with the Toronto Argonauts. The win last week, Prefontaine's first playoff game as an Edmonton Eskimo. Big win for the Eskimos in Winnipeg. Chance for a Western team to win the East today. Big kick. Larry Taylor has it at his 5. Taylor. Some good positive yardage. It could have been a lot worse for the Alouettes. AC back when we come back.
He'd had trouble sleeping earlier this week because he was so nervous. You have to think he hasn't played in the last 3 Montreal games, out with an ankle injury. In fact, he's missed 6 games this season. He is considered by many to be an X factor in this game. He said it's a role that he is relishing, considering coming into this season, he expected to be playing mainly special teams. So for this opportunity, he's extremely excited.
So too is Brian Bratton after picking up close to a first down. Avon Colburn extremely excited. Thank you, Sarah. His coach has had to give him some breathing techniques this week to try to get him to sleep.
Well, we've all seen all season how calm Mark Trestman is. So, of course, he was the guy Colburn went to. And he taught him, you put one hand on your stomach, one hand on your chest, and listen to yourself breathe.
Is that what you do?
I fall asleep pretty easily anyway. I just eat myself to sleep.
There you go.
Nonetheless, Colburn said it worked. He slept like a baby ever since.
Play action, and oh, dangerous pass that time. Shannon Garrett in the vicinity and almost had it picked off.
Well, knowing how quickly Anthony Calvillo likes to get rid of the football, Edmonton's doing a tremendous job getting pressure on him and forcing him to hurry throws. In this case, Fred Perry, the playoff monster. An option type play, read play. He stays right with the quarterback, plays it perfectly, gets upfield, and you saw the hurried throw almost led to an interception for Edmonton.
It's one thing that Edmonton front line can do. They got big paws up there. They like to knock down a lot of passes, see how it plays out. Calvillo again, little pump fake against the grain, and Van Cahoon could not haul it in. Lenny Williams providing the coverage. And the Owls will kick it away again. Last time they went to punt, remember, Damon Duvall had it blocked.
Well, for Montreal, we're seeing Anthony Calvillo moving around in the pocket a lot more often than we're used to. Thus far, the result of that pressure that's flushing him from the pocket, just 5 for 11 for AC. This is a guy who completed almost 70% of his passes during the regular season.
High snap, here's the rush again. And once again, Duvall almost had it blocked. Tristan Jackson sidesteps one tackle, has some running room. Jackson now to the 50, brought down at midfield.
Well, what was almost a huge play with another block for Edmonton at one end ends up in a huge play at the other end for the S on the return. Usually when you bring pressure, you don't have many blockers getting back. But the Eskimos still did a good job getting bodies on. You see Jordan Younger, Jason Goss out leading the convoy. They give their offense a very short field to work with here.
Tristan Jackson with a couple returns early in the season, flatlined a little bit in the midseason. But Jackson, an outstanding year. His first with the Eskimos. Mississippi Missile. Minute 30 to go, opening quarter. From midfield, Ray, brought down. There is a whistle. Ricky Ray with a pump fake, and Ken Lazaruk is waving his hands furiously, and no one is paying attention.
Ricky Ray definitely got his arm back, but you see John Bowman signaling to his sideline to throw the challenge flag. The question here is, did his arm start moving forward before he lost this one?
John Bowman in on the play. What do you think And there is a challenge flag. Well, that's a tough one from that angle. It looks like it was coming forward.
Well, and this is one where Bowman put his hand right on the football. It wasn't just a hit that jarred the ball loose. He knocks the ball loose with his hand here. You'll see him reach around with that right hand.
Right you are. He did hit the football. And it looked like almost simultaneously as Ricky Ray's arm was coming forward, Bowman gets it there.
Yeah, I think this call is going to stand. It looked like Ray's arm just barely started moving forward.
Montreal is challenging the play, saying it was a fumble, not an incomplete pass.
Yeah, I think you may be right. Very close, though. So Ken Lazarick will go under the hood and review this play.
One of the big issues that Edmonton had in the drubbing that they suffered in Montreal in the regular season was those turnovers, particularly fumbles, as the Montreal defensive front was able to get to Ricky Ray frequently in that one.
Again, these two teams met twice in the regular season, but hardly blueprints for this game. Completely different games and teams at the time as we take another look.
And this is probably your best look because you can see Ricky Ray's arm clearly. Certainly appears to be moving forward when the ball is touched. We'll point out again, as always, that for a call to be overturned, the evidence has to be conclusive. In this case, I just don't see anything that's going to be conclusive in the other direction.
So here is the verdict now from the veteran.
Upon review, the quarterback's arm had just begun to come forward. Therefore, the ruling on the field stands. It is an incomplete pass. The second down.
So it will be second down for Ricky Ray, who was lucky to avoid the sack and the turnover that time. There's John Bowman, who had 8 sacks in the regular season. Two teams with a lot of similarities offensively and defensively. A good matchup, expected to be a shootout. We haven't seen the offenses at their best yet. Ray standing in the pocket, lets it fly, and the catch is made for a first down. It's Kelly Campbell with his first reception of the day, and what an acquisition Campbell has been to the Eskimos this year.
Well, this play is made by, first of all, the Edmonton offensive line. Keep an eye on the protection that they give Ricky Ray here. See the left tackle, Big Garrett Jones, working against John Bowman. And Ricky Ray, that pocket presence he has, that calm demeanor, just slides to his left a little bit to buy a little bit of time and allow Kelly Campbell to get into that open window.
Campbell averages about 22 yards a catch. Big play guy. Play action to Harris, and the tackle, Matthew Prue, on Mike Maurer, who had actually retired this year and came back. Speaking of coming back, how about the brothers Comiskey getting a chance to play together for the first time in their careers this year?
Yeah, and that means something to these guys on a whole different level. And here you see them pregame holding their helmets to the sky. This is a tribute to a younger brother, Patrick, who passed away from leukemia at the age of 9. And this is a tribute they've always done, but now this is the first year they're getting the opportunity to do that together, making it extra special.
Comiskey's provide the blocking, but that pass is blocked. Jermaine McIlvain. Final play of the opening quarter. A knockdown on a Ricky Ray toss. Defenses dominate so far. The Eskimos lead 7-3 after 1. It's always fresh, always.
Rod, we'll give the defenses a great deal of credit, particularly the defensive coordinators, for their game planning in this one. As we see the offensive numbers down, and we talked a little bit about the importance of time of possession in this football game. You see Montreal winning in that battle, but there's that forgotten factor, special teams, which proved huge for Edmonton in the first quarter.
And of course, those front lines, you know that the bullseye is on Ray and on Calvillo today. Both of those quarterbacks saw a lot of heat in that opening quarter.
Yeah, little doubt about that. You knew Edmonton was going to go after Anthony Calvillo to try and throw off his timing. As far as Ricky Ray, same sort of idea. You want to try and flush him out of the pocket so that he's not able to find deep receivers and hurt you with big plays. Let him get his stuff underneath.
Prefontaine from the 45-yard line. The kick is up, and it is good. And so the Edmonton Eskimos restore a 7-point lead thanks to Noel Prefontaine.
We just finished talking about special teams. Special teams scored a touchdown on a punt block in the first quarter. That field goal set up again by that same punt return, punt block unit. A long Tristan Jackson return, put that ball at midfield. Now, here you see a look at that pressure on the quarterbacks. Anthony Calvillo usually 3 steps and throw. He's getting flushed out of the pocket and getting out of his rhythm. Ricky Ray facing the same thing at the other end, taking a few hits so far. Not getting that time he likes to have to sift through his reads and get to his receivers.
Calvillo to Coburn, off of right tackle. Interesting for the Montreal Alouettes. Their weapons, of course, Ben Cahoon, the possession guy, but Jamel Richardson, a CFL All-Star. We have not heard from him yet today.
No, and again, I say that the defenses have definitely stepped up to the challenge here. The quarterbacks, the offenses got all the billing coming into this ball game. Defenses don't necessarily like hearing that. They kind of go by that old adage, football or offensive football sells tickets, defensive football wins championships, and it is playoff time.
Six yards for the first down. Calvillo has to avoid the pressure. He's brought down by Fred Perry. Huge play last week for Fred Perry against Winnipeg, and another big one here in Montreal today.
Well, Eskimos offensive lineman Dan Comiskey had a great quote about Fred Perry during the week. Said Fred Perry come playoff time is a beast. They talked about him being in the right place at the right time and just making plays, getting it done. We saw it with a 31-yard interception return for a touchdown last week. We've seen him here today in the backfield frequently making life miserable for Anthony Calvillo.
Duvall at his 15 again. This time he is hit, and there is no penalty flag. There is one in the middle of the field, however. A marker down. Tristan Jackson. Here he comes. And he is tripped up by Duvall. However, Damon Duvall was hit by Justin Cooper. There is a penalty marker down at the 38-yard line, and it is against the Eskimos, it looks like.
Holding Edmonton, number 92. While the ball's in flight, we go back to the spot where he caught the ball. 10-yard penalty, first down.
So Tyler Klutz, the holding penalty. And we'll come back to Montreal. Penalized, but not the penalty Montreal wanted.
No, the Eskimos almost got called, or we expected a call for roughing the kicker here. The hit on Damon Duvall, this was Justin Cooper again. It ended up being right in the middle of your screen. You can see Tyler Klutz gets called for holding for a little WWE maneuver against a Montreal cover man.
Brings back a 49-yard return from Tristan Jackson. A.J. Harris on first down with the carry.
Just going back for a second to that almost punt block again by the Edmonton Eskimos. Once again, it was Justin Cooper who managed to get into the backfield. Montreal's made a little adjustment in their blocking scheme. Now their long snapper, Chris Francis, is stepping to him and giving him a bump to try and slow him down a little bit after they gave up that touchdown earlier in the game.
Second down and 9 for Ray. Looks over the middle, in trouble, lets it fly, and Kamal Peterson has the first down. And Kamal Peterson, last year a breakthrough year, another outstanding season for a guy who's nominated for the most outstanding Canadian award this year.
And that's one of the matchups here today. Kamal Peterson, the West nominee for outstanding Canadian, facing off against Ben Cahoon, who's the East finalist. Kamal Peterson's a guy with some very good memories of big games in this building. having won a Grey Cup as a rookie with the Calgary Stampeders here back in 2001.
Peterson's first catch of the day. Look at the yardage on the year. Lose the football again for Edmonton. Ray, the heat again. Launches and caught once again and dropped by Khalil Carter is Kamau Peterson, who has turned into the big play guy for the Eskimos as well.
And this was the one the Montreal Alouettes were trying to avoid. You knew Ricky Ray was going to get his completions underneath. You wanted to avoid the big ones. Here Kamau Peterson is the inside receiver in that three-man formation. Goes to the corner route. That hasn't been thrown out of the playbook in the absence of Jason Tucker. Peterson with a big catch. Nice adjustment to the football in the air here. Just unable to high step away from Carter at the end. Touchdown saving tackle from the Montreal DB.
Born in the United States. Grew up in Canada. Kamau Peterson. Into the red zone go the Eskimos. To his right, on the goal line, and incomplete. Maurice Mann. Davis Sanchez in on coverage.
Ricky Ray really tried to thread the needle on this one to Maurice Mann. He's the outside receiver on this, runs a quick post and has position. If Ricky Ray leads him a little bit more with that ball, the Eskimos are celebrating a touchdown right here. You see how Mann had to hold up a little bit because the throw was a bit behind him, and that allowed Sanchez to make a play on the football.
Sanchez inciting this crowd. Alouettes need a stop. Ray to the corner route. Andrew Nowacki can't bring it in. And once again, that will bring out the Eskimo kicker.
Ricky Ray progressed through his reads on that play. He wanted to stay to the right-hand side. That's where his primary receivers were. Adjusted his focus to the left a little bit late. Looked like he rushed the throw a little bit as well, and it was a bit outside for Nowacki.
Prefontaine has already hit from 45. This one near the 22-yard line. Right down Main Street. And the Edmonton Eskimos have a 10-point advantage.
With TSN Direct.
Team that was first in the East Division this year. The home team, the Montreal Alouettes, down 13-3. Anthony Calvillo over top for Ben Cahoon. And the Alouettes' biggest offensive play.
And if you don't think this is a direct response to the strike thrown to Kamau Peterson a minute ago, there's little question here. Montreal wanted to answer back. They send Cahoon on this deep crossing route, working against a CFL All-Star and Jason Goss, a battle of two pretty good football players. The touch of Anthony Calvillo here just drops it in over Goss's head for the big gain.
Calvillo backsteps, in trouble again, has to roll, fires, and a misfire. His first toss to Jamel Richardson, and it's an incomplete pass.
You're seeing again Edmonton's defense flushing Anthony Calvillo out of the pocket, using their speed and using pressure to upset that three-step rhythm that we've seen from Calvillo all season long.
An offense predicated on that three-step drop, on timing. So far, Anthony Calvillo, with the exception of that toss to Ben Cahoon, has not had Calvillo-like numbers. 6 for 13 so far. Flushed again. And and he'll be brought down by Brandon Guillory. The pressure continues to mount on Anthony Calvillo.
This huge strength for Montreal all year has been their pass protection. Here you see Brandon Guillory at the bottom of that defensive line working against the left tackle, Josh Burke. Pretty good job initially in protection, but as Calvillo gets flushed out from the other side, Guillory, who's got that great motor, just keeps working. It serves him well on that play.
Alouettes electing to hunt it away for field position here. Would have been about a 52-yard field goal, and a bobbled snap. Duvall, a line drive. And the Eskimos will scrimmage from near their 18 when we return to Montreal. Into the east, trying to get to the Grey Cup, have a 10-point lead. Second quarter, and buried is A.J. Harris. Anwar Stewart in on the tackle.
Montreal front seven does a nice job on this play of flattening out the Eskimos offensive line. That means you don't let them get an upfield push. As a result, the running back A.J. Harris can't get going north-south either, and he's stopped right at the line of scrimmage.
Second 11 for Ray. Over the middle. Oh, what a hit! And Kamal Peterson was known to hang on to those ones. That was a triple header that time. Peterson, remember making that catch July 31st? Almost that kind of play. Not this time, though. The catch that he made, tribute to Jason Tucker.
And Ricky Ray put this one right in his hands. Little bobble from Peterson. Followed by the big hit. Diamond Ferry, no stranger to danger. He likes that physical play.
Well, Prefontaine is back near his 4-yard line. Larry Taylor, and there is a penalty flag here. As they let the clock wind down, and it looks like the Eskimos are going to retreat a little bit. Don't be surprised.
Time count violation. Edmonton, number 7. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still third down.
Don't be surprised here that Prefontaine gives up 2 points. He was at his 4 and now will be in his end zone. This has become commonplace the last couple of years in the Canadian Football League. Give up the 2.
It's a game of field position.
And he will take off with it, burn some of the clock, and Noel Prefontaine will give up 2, and the Alouettes will get the football again. We talked about Kamal Peterson and, of course, Jason Tucker. If you followed the CFL this year, you know what happened to Jason Tucker. But here is the drop by Kamal Peterson. But a week after Jason Tucker had his neck broken, Kamal Peterson galvanized his team and the crowd in Edmonton with that catch.
This, to me, was the moment of the year in the Canadian Football League. Takes a huge lick from BC linebacker Otis Floyd, bounces right up, shows off Jason Tucker's number 83. You see him talking to Tuck right there on the sidelines. But it was, that Commonwealth Stadium crowd was just electric after that. And that was a play that turned that football game around. The Eskimos were trailing, kind of turned the whole emotion of the stadium and that team, turned it into a victory for Edmonton.
Jason Tucker, who fractured his C6 and C7, has been wearing that brace, is here as an inspiration and helping out the receivers. Made maybe the catch of the year early in the season, Jason Tucker. And then unfortunately for him, his career ended a week before that Kamal Peterson catch in Hamilton. So the score now 13-5. Edmonton after the safety touch.
You see Montreal today, the bottom, their first 6 possessions of the ball game, 4 punts, 1 block punt, a field goal, their only points. Think back to that blowout victory over Edmonton on September 21st. Their first 6 possessions, 3 touchdowns, 3 field goals. Huge difference here today. Different Edmonton Eskimo team.
The gun again goes Avon Colburn. Danny Machocha this week has said that whenever referencing that game in September has said, what are you talking about? The Edmonton Eskimos did not play in Montreal.
Yeah, and when asked to expand on that a little bit, he says, the Edmonton Eskimo team that we know, that we are, certainly didn't show up for that particular football game.
That's why it's so hard to gauge this game. That game a blowout. Then the final game, the Alouettes had a lot of reserves in the ball game. Here they meet again, 6 minutes before halftime. Quick strike over the middle. Kerry Carter, Canadian-born fullback.
Kerry Carter as a fullback isn't used often as a ball carrier, but he's been a very dependable receiver this season for Anthony Calvillo. Starts off in a wing formation just outside the tackle. Just hooks over the middle to be the check down receiver for Calvillo on that play. Carter had 23 catches for 270 yards during the regular season.
Avon Colburn, a big block on that play. Calvillo, Harry Watkins, another first down. Alouettes with 3 receivers over 1,000 yards, including number 81.
And you're also seeing what Anthony Calvillo is able to do when he has time to stay in that rhythm and step into his throws, deliver the football to guys like Kerry Watkins, Ben Cahoon, Jamel Richardson. When he's being rushed, he's having a lot of trouble. But when he's got time, he's going to pick you apart.
Watkins and Richardson in motion. First and 10. Handoff again to Avon Colburn. Last year spent some time as a linebacker, if you can believe it. Was a backup predominantly to Jarrett Payton, utilized last year in the Montreal backfield.
A special formation here from Montreal, lined up as a wide receiver. Number 67, offensive lineman Dave Mudge. They don't give him a whole lot of respect and coverage over there.
I didn't see him running the hook and ladder or anything over there.
Dave's going back to the sidelines and telling them he was open.
Another second down play here. Protection. Cahoon has the first down. Brought down by Shannon Garrett.
The toughness of Ben Cahoon is so underrated. His ability to run with the football after the catch. Just running a crossing route here. Catches it. Jason Goss has a clean shot at him. Goes too high. A subtle little move with the hand by Cahoon to brush him off. Helps contribute to that missed tackle by Goss and allows Cahoon to pick up the first down.
East nominee for Most Outstanding Canadian, an award he has won twice, Ben Cahoon. Calvillo going deep for Brian Bratton. Dropped it.
Bratton gets up lobbying briefly for a pass interference call, but no such luck. There was a moment where he was open, but that ball was just overthrown a little bit. The free safety, Sadiq Shabazz, comes over to help out the corner, Jonte Buell, on the play.
Crowd reacting. They're seeing that replay here and thinking that Jonte Buell may have interfered with Brian Bratton.
Bratton had a clean shot at that football. The ball was just low and he was unable to adjust to it.
Alouettes have to make a first down here, or it'll be up to Damon Duvall's leg again. Jamel Richardson has the first down. Richardson loose down to the 6-yard line. The guy who scored more touchdowns than anybody else in the Canadian Football League this season, former Rough Rider Jamel Richardson.
One of the theories against Montreal is you want to be physical with the receivers because there are so many small guys, Ben Cahoon, Kerry Watkins, Brian Bratton. But then there's this guy, Jamel Richardson, 6'2", 220 pounds. Just watch him run through the tackles. He loves the physical stuff.
3-minute warning. The Alouettes sniffing at the end zone. 3 minutes to go before halftime. Only one touchdown in this game, scored by a backup defensive lineman, rookie Justin Cooper, on a blocked punt. The Alouettes looking to the end zone now. From the 7. Coburn trying to kick it outside, and what a tackle from Sadiq Shabazz.
Shabazz so often plays close to the line of scrimmage, even though his position is listed at free safety. He ends up being blocked by the tight end on this play, Dave Mudge. He's got his eyes in the backfield, though, fights to the outside. Nice spin move there to make the tackle and stop any sort of Montreal game.
Now the Edmonton defense trying to limit Montreal to a field goal. 2nd and goal. Calvillo, end zone open, touchdown, Jamel Richardson. And into it with Lenny Williams.
And the 13th man just woke up here in Montreal. Now you saw the touchdown, but this play is made by a block by the running back. Avon Coburn all the way across the formation to block the linebacker. Gives his quarterback Calvillo time to let this play develop to Jamel Richardson. Continues his red-hot play.
16 majors in the regular season. Not bad for a guy who had only 4 touchdowns through 3 seasons. Part-time in Saskatchewan. And the first offensive touchdown of this game. Anthony Calvillo, who threw for 43 touchdowns in the regular season. Now the Alouettes trail by a single point.
Well, Jamel Richardson lines up as the middle receiver in this 3-man set to the wide side of the field. Little juke to the outside, gets inside position. That's death for a defensive back, letting your man inside. So that makes for an easy throw.
And now a little bad blood there as well.
It's a nice move by Kerry Watkins over the top to break things up.
Years, but this year there was a lot of AC to Jamel Richardson and to Kerry Watkins as well.
Think back to the start of this season. Another Montreal receiver, Elijah Thurman, was injured, out for the season. Dave Stala, injured, out for the season. These were some of Montreal's taller receivers. They were left with a pretty small group. Jamel Richardson has given them that size that they otherwise wouldn't have had. You see on a play like that where Anthony Calvillo is able to just throw the ball up, let him go over the DB and get it. QB loves to have a big target like that at his disposal.
Working on the right calf of Anthony Calvillo. Looks like he's okay, though. Again, his first game since late October today. 2.5 to go before halftime. Justin Jackson brings the ball to the 28-yard line. Maybe now these offenses starting to do what we thought they might do, get on track. We've seen some big play balls here thrown by Ricky Ray and Anthony Calvillo.
Well, things starting to open up, and we always talk about that chess match. And in the early going, the defenses were very clearly winning. But now you see the counter moves starting to come from the offense. They figure out a few of those things. Saw Montreal figure out the blitz a little bit on their last possession. Allow Anthony Calvillo a little bit more time to get in the rhythm. See what Edmonton's got up their sleeve here.
Ray in trouble, toppled.
Edmonton's got to come up with an answer. This momentum has shifted. They kept Montreal quiet in the early going, and that was a huge advantage for the Eskimos in the first quarter of this football game. But here things are starting to shift as the Giant seems to have wakened.
The noise, a big factor now. You saw Ricky Ray before that play have to go down and shout at his center, John Comiskey. Ray stands in, and the first reception from running back Calvin McCarty and Diamond Ferry greets him.
Montreal again showing evidence of their film work during the week, not allowing Edmonton's running backs room to get yards after the catch. Here you see Diamond Ferry is back in that zone, but as soon as McCarty catches the football, Ferry is there to come up on him and make a tackle. This is where Winnipeg had a whole lot of trouble with the Eskimos last week as the Edmonton running backs caught 11 passes that let them get yards after the catch. Montreal has been on them very quickly when they've caught balls here.
Alouettes will get the ball back here. Just over a minute 40 to go. Prefontaine, a bit of a wobbler, will bounce in front of Larry Taylor. Could be a no yards call. There's the flag. There goes Taylor. Larry Taylor kicks it outside, and he will not be caught. Taylor will score. Touchdown! $62 yards for the major. The penalty should be no yards. That touchdown will count.
If the rush was a factor for the Montreal Alouettes early, it's all gone now. They're alive. First man down had a shot at Larry Taylor. After that, it was all over. Gets to the outside, and he is off to the races.
The Alouettes really dormant in this first half until the last 3 minutes, have scored twice in a minute 7. And this place is starting to rock.
Many times it's said in the punt return game, you want a returner who can make the first guy miss and then let the blockers look after the rest. This is exactly how Montreal does it. The long snapper, Taylor Inglis, unblocked, but he's out of control coming down the field. He doesn't get broken down. Larry Taylor with one quick juke makes him miss. Watch the blocks he picks up along the way. You see yellow helmets hitting the turf as Taylor goes in for 7.
You go back through the great history of the Alouettes through the years, they've always had some dynamic kick returners. That's what we're talking about, says Anwar Stewart. Go back to the Johnny Rogers era, and then most recently, you know, Avon Coburn was returning for a while. Keith Stokes.
You think about guys like Keith Stokes, Winston October. Over the years, Jim Popp has had a knack for finding all sorts of these guys. Ezra Landry.
And Larry Taylor was not doing what he was doing late in the season, early in this season, and then suddenly September took one back, and he has joined the club with all those great Montreal returners. And his second touchdown of 2008 on a return, and a key one.
You think early in the season, this is a guy who was sitting out. He wasn't dressing for games. Jason Armstead was Montreal's primary returner. Ironically, Armstead had the big punt return last week for a touchdown against Edmonton. His former understudy comes up with one here today against the Eskimos.
19-13 Alouettes. Tristan Jackson will try to do the same. Sending it to the sideline, and Jackson slips. Chip Cox is there to bring down Tristan Jackson.
Nice placement on the kickoff from Damon Duval to get it close to the sidelines because it limits what Edmonton can do in the return game. Easy to cover when you narrow the field by kicking that close to the sidelines.
Minute 19 for Ricky Ray to work with here. Couple of first down strikes. He might be able to get his team to the end zone too. Kelly Campbell in motion. Ray out of the backfield for Maurice Mann. And gets half the first down yardage and more pressure again on Ricky Ray.
Well, you're seeing Ricky Ray is unable to step into his throws because Montreal is collapsing the pocket. They're getting a push upfield, pushing the Eskimo offensive lineman right back into Ricky Ray's face. You see he's got his own guys' yellow helmets blocking his line of vision. Makes it real tough to throw the football down the field.
Eskimos have to get a first down here or Montreal could see the football again before halftime. Ray in trouble again, lets it fly, and Peterson can't one-hand it. 50 seconds to go before halftime, and yes, Noel Prefontaine will have to come out again.
And you're just seeing all three phases of this Montreal football team feeding off each other now. That offense got going with a nice drive. You saw the special teams with some enthusiasm on that punt return touchdown. Now here you see the defense playing with all kinds of energy and intensity, getting after the Edmonton Eskimos in a big way.
Prefontaine. Back this time, Brian Bratton after Larry Taylor probably getting some oxygen on the bench after that return. Line drive to Bratton. Takes a couple of hops, fields it at the 25. He too goes outside, retreats a couple yards. Bratton trying to find his seam and is smothered by Scott Coe. And more rough stuff behind the play again. No penalty flags, however, and there are 37 ticks left before halftime. Agi Baranachea in on it and was getting into the face of an Alouette defender.
Well, Baranachea picks up his helmet after a pretty good special teams battle with one of the best special teams battlers in the CFL, Walter Spencer. So those are the two guys who go down to the field at the very left end of the screen. I think that's a two-point takedown in wrestling terminology.
It's ultimate fighting right there. Yes. Keeping it on the ground is Anthony Calvillo. Alouettes, who trailed for most of this half, striking quickly in the final 3 minutes. 33 seconds to go.
You see Anthony Calvillo's numbers. His first 6 drives, under 50% at 6 of 13, just 91 yards. The last drive where he suddenly seemed to catch fire and his O-line gave him time. 5 of 6 for 69 yards. The drive culminates in a touchdown. It was the first drive all game where we didn't talk about how Edmonton was getting pressure on Calvillo. He was throwing from the pocket rather than throwing the football on the run.
Danny Machocha chomping on the gum, doesn't look that concerned. And keeping it on the ground, Coburn will move the yardsticks, it looks like.
Very curious after watching Montreal come out on this possession and go with back-to-back run plays, which this team virtually never does, to see if they're just going to be content to run the clock out here in the first half, or if they're trying to lull the Eskimos to sleep for one big strike. How's that first half scoring? The opposite of what we usually see from Montreal. Usually it's the big points early and then quiet in the second quarter.
Should be the final play. Well, will be the final play when it is whistled in before halftime. A year ago, Anthony Calvillo was not with the Alouettes late in the season. His wife diagnosed with cancer. Anthony went to be with her, and She battled through that. Things got better with Alexia, the family. Anthony Calvillo decided to come back to football this year.
Timeout called by Edmonton.
Rejuvenated, revived, and he has been awesome.
Well, he sure has, and capping things off this week by being named a CFL All-Star.
And now we'll just take the knee, and this will be the final play before halftime. And Calvillo said it put everything into perspective, how football was just a game. And in this game, the Alouettes and Anthony Calvillo a half away from being in the Grey Cup game next week. 19-13 they lead. One half remains in the East Final, maybe a little more. Montreal Alouettes ahead 19-13 after trailing 13-3, and everything turned around for them after a holding call and a Tristan Jackson return. Eskimos took a safety after that, and then the Alouettes scored twice on touchdowns. Their offense kicking it into gear.
It just seemed to be a matter of time for both these offenses to get going. Now they've had a chance to get in at halftime, catch their breath, and make some adjustments. For Montreal, be prepared with the screen and draw. And I say be prepared because the offense, the passing game went well for them at the end, but you got to figure Edmonton's going to find different ways to bring pressure. They need to counter that. For the Eskimos, you heard Jock Climie say it at halftime. They give Calvillo trouble when they're disrupting his timing. They haven't been able to do that with pressure as this first half ended. Another way to disrupt the timing is to go after the other guys in that equation, the receivers. Jam them, don't let them get to where they need to be on time.
Let's go down to Sarah Orlesky with Montreal head coach Mark Trestman.
Coach, the momentum went back and forth in that first half. You guys scored 14 points in those final 3 minutes. How do you maintain this momentum going into the third quarter?
Well, we went in the locker room. We got to catch our breath a little bit, get our composure back, and just get ourselves restarted. We know we're in for a heck of a 30 minutes. It's going to take everything on all sides of the ball.
Thanks so much.
You bet, sir.
Mark Trestman, first-year head coach, but certainly not a rookie. He's been in the National Football League, has worked with some of the best quarterbacks that have ever played, and he's working with one of the best quarterbacks that have ever played Canadian football in Anthony Calvillo.
No question. The things you hear those quarterbacks say about him, whether it's south of the border or here, is what a great presence he is, how much they have learned from him. Anthony Calvillo has enjoyed this year. You can see it on his face, and you see it in his production, and he gives so much of the credit to Mark Trestman and his offensive schemes.
Alouettes will kick the ball away, and the Eskimos will get it first here in the third quarter. Tristan Jackson's been sprung a couple times today. Back with Lenny Williams. Looking for the wall, and now a seam. Jackson into the pile at the 35-yard line, and Ricky Ray needs to get his offense going, and you heard Jock Climie talk about it as we take a look at the numbers. Very similar numbers between both quarterbacks. Might we see a little more Calvin McCarty and A.J. Harris out of the backfield with Ricky Ray in the second half?
Well, the test for Ricky Ray in this Eskimo offense is going to be if they're able to get any yards getting the ball to those guys. If you notice, the times when they went to their backs in the first half, tacklers were on them very quickly. It wasn't the yards after the catch like they were able to get last week. Montreal was far more prepared for that than Winnipeg was.
Quick hitter to Kamal Peterson. Peterson, initial contact from Matthew Prue, and then Khalil Carter with the tackle.
And by contrast, Matt Dunnigan made the suggestion at halftime, work against those inside defensive backs, the halfbacks, meaning get the ball to the slots, and particularly Kamal Peterson. We saw Peterson catch that big corner route early, working against Khalil Carter. Perhaps he'll try and go after that matchup again.
There's Chip Cox, one of the outstanding defensive backs. He's on top of Fred Stamps right now. Ray going deep now for Kelly Campbell, and he can't haul it in. Eskimos saw something there and were almost able to exploit it.
Well, again, it was a coverage matchup that they liked. The linebacker, T.J. Hill, is the man who ends up in coverage against Kelly Campbell, the Eskimos' fastest receiver, and Campbell uses his motion so well to hit that line at full speed. He beats Hill cleanly, but the ball just passed his outstretched arms. Otherwise, Kelly Campbell might score on that play.
This guy's been like the human TSN turning point for most of the games the Edmonton Eskimos have played. Very quick Kelly Campbell. Don't be surprised if he makes another big gainer in this game. Fontaine. And Brian Bratton again back. Down at the 30-yard line. Anthony Calvillo and the Alouettes offense back on the field when we come back. Mark Trestman, the Montreal Alouettes lead the Edmonton Eskimos 19-13 early second half. In the East Final. After this one, we send you back out west to McMahon Stadium, Calgary, and BC in the West Final. Calvillo with time and wide open. Avon Coburn dropped it.
When you talk about missed opportunities, put this one at the top of the list. This is a mismatch. Avon Coburn streaking down the field against the middle linebacker, Augie Baranachea, a guy who's not usually asked to cover on deep routes like this. I think Coburn was thinking end zone before he caught the football.
Sadiq Shabazz came over to help as well. Likely not would have gone the distance, but certainly won't go anywhere if you don't hang on to the football. Missed opportunity, Calvillo over the middle. Richardson now shakes one tackle, Shabazz missed. And Jamel Richardson, who already has a touchdown, has his third reception.
You see this Montreal offense starting to open up a little bit as both teams get a little bit more aggressive. Big target, little swim move to the outside. Nice route. That in route and shucks off that tackle by Shabazz for a couple extra yards. Good rush by Brandon Guillory. Anthony Calvillo stands in there. Throws a strike to Richardson.
Takes some of the sting off of that Coburn drop. Goes to midfield, quick hitter, but miscommunication that time. The pass thrown behind Jamel Richardson. He says, my bad. Jason Goss is down. He's the only defensive player out here who was a first-team CFL All-Star.
Well, Goss got banged up on the previous play. He came up limping, but stayed in the football game. We're recognizing that as a defensive back, particularly a halfback, you're going to be matched up against Jamel Richardson and Ben Cahoon. You can't play hurt. And this is the original play where you're going to see Jason Goss trying to cover on Jamel Richardson. Looked like he might have jammed a knee or an ankle a little bit, trying to make that break in coverage. Came up wobbling on the play.
Again, named a CFL All-Star a couple days ago. Jason Goss, outstanding season, 5 interceptions, 2 of them went for touchdowns. The first West Division team to represent the East in the Grey Cup. Looked like maybe even from one of his own players, yeah.
We saw Sadiq Shabazz's helmet roll on that right ankle of Jason Goss.
So there is this Eskimo chance for them to get there as a Western Division team. There's also this host jinx, if you want to call it that, the curse of the host team. Only 8 times in the last 55 years
And the last time, of course, that one of those teams won was 1994, the BC Lions. Louis Pasaglia with the winning field goal against Baltimore. The last time one of those teams got in it at home, these Edmonton Eskimos in 2002, the first of those, the trilogy against the Montreal Alouettes.
So Goss limps off. The Alouettes quickly to the line of scrimmage. A 6-point lead here. Second down, 10 yards to go. Calvillo fires, a penalty marker on the far side of the field. Tiptoeing out of bounds is Kerry Watkins.
This ends up being a free play for the Montreal Alouettes, as again, Fred Perry appeared to be the man who jumped early for Edmonton. Suspect Anthony Calvillo's mixing up his cadence down there.
Offside, Edmonton, number 41. That penalty's declined. First down.
And this is one of those techniques that Calvillo can use to try and slow down that rush a bit, as if Edmonton's defense starts thinking he's always going to snap the ball on one, and they anticipate that a little bit. If Anthony Calvillo starts changing, going on 2 or 3, then he gets those guys to go offside.
Richardson to the left of Calvillo. Pump fake over the middle and dropped by Watkins. That had 6 written all over it. That's twice now.
You're only going to get so many opportunities in the course of a football game to take those home run shots. Try to suck the defense up with some underneath plays. You got to capitalize on these. These have been 2 perfect throws by Calvillo on this drive that have been dropped by his receivers. And a normally dependable group. Saw Avon Coburn with that one earlier. And then Kerry Watkins just a few plays later.
That was a first down play. Now 2nd and 10. Calvillo now flushed out of the pocket, decides to take it himself. Will have the first down and more.
What a great play here by Jamel Richardson, recognizing that he's still got a job to do when the ball's not being thrown to him. As Anthony Calvillo takes off, you'll see Richardson turn and get on his man, Tristan Jackson. By doing that, he allows Calvillo to pick up the first down and also saves his quarterback from having to slide or risk taking a hit. Great heads-up play by Richardson as a receiver.
Another first down. Play action. Coburn down to the 5. Avon Coburn makes good this time. You know, he's going to think about sure-handing the football the rest of the way.
Well, he's not going to let any more opportunities slip away. Montreal goes play action here. After Coburn goes through with the run fake, it seems like the Edmonton defenders forget about him a little bit as they start thinking, oh, we've got to cover the pass. Coburn slips out for that pass and was clearly the primary receiver on that play, an easy completion for Calvillo.
Spread formation again. 1st and goal. Calvillo. Corner route for Bratton. There is an interference call. Tristan Jackson, the guilty party.
Tristan Jackson, usually just a return man, forced to play out on the corner because of that injury to Jason Goss.
Forward pass
creates a little shuffle in the secondary.
38 in the end zone. That's an automatic first down at the 1 yard line.
Interference.
Jackson never turned around on this football. You see his numbers the whole way here. He gets into the hand fight with Bratton as he recognizes that the football is on its way.
So now 1st and goal from the 1, and Anthony Calvillo, as he often does on these plays, goes to the sideline. Backup quarterback, 3rd string, Adrian McPherson comes in. movement.
If this is against Montreal, Anthony Calvillo could be right back in this game.
Offside. Edmonton, number 93. Remains first down.
Against Edmonton, we saw Eric Wilson, offensive lineman, in the backfield.
See Fred Perry, number 41, right away turned to Clinton Wayne, question what he's looking at. He's right in front of the ball. He shouldn't go off.
McPherson plunges forward for the touchdown. The Alouettes open up the lead here, and the Eskimos have some serious work to do. Dan Kepley and Danny Machocha on the sideline.
There just seemed to be confusion right from the start in this Edmonton short yardage defense. They never got it sorted out.
I don't know if the crowd noise is such a factor.
Well, the play was whistled in late there with Montreal already on the ball. It almost seemed like Edmonton, that Edmonton defense thought that they were whistling the play dead. Everybody let up.
They are now putting that football back to that 1 yard line. And here's Ken Lazaruk to explain.
There was an inadvertent whistle on the play that killed the play. There was no play. We still have a first down. Montreal at the 1 yard line. First down.
So the crowd, I don't know if the crowd just was able to hear that, but it got silent all of a sudden. They're noticing it's at the 1. And premature cheer here from the Alouette faithful.
If anything, this is just going to cost Edmonton some time.
Ferguson again, and there is no signal. So now it will be second down. Let's see if that inadvertent whistle helps the Eskimos here.
Notice the Montreal jerseys don't really make it across that line of scrimmage. See Dario Romero come underneath the pile, take the legs out of the offensive linemen so they can't drive any further. Allow the linebackers to then come up and make tackle on McPherson.
Eskimos need a goal line stand here now, second and goal. This time the handoff to Coburn, and he scores.
Initially, it looked like the Eskimos were going to get a stop in the backfield. Quick little step to the inside by Avon Coburn. Acts as his own blocker here to beat one and make his way in. Good push off the edge there from Brandon Guillory is what forced Coburn to dance to the inside.
What a crazy drive in many ways. Coburn drops, Watkins drop. Coburn makes a big play down to the 5. Inadvertent whistle, and then Coburn scores. The big thing is, which works against the Eskimos, it ate up almost 5 minutes on the clock. Coburn scores. The Alouettes lead.
Gotta get this money.
Avon Coburn with some redemption on that drive after a drop. Tristan Jackson, that penalty interference call also costly against him. And Jackson bounces off and comes down the sideline. And Tristan Jackson, who looked like he was going to be stopped right in his heels, is able to bring one up near midfield. Let's go to the sideline now and once again join Sarah Orleski. Sarah.
Thanks, Rod. I just spoke to some of the Eskimos training staff. They said that Jason Goss rolled his ankle. They have retaped it, and they're checking to see now whether or not he's going to be able to go back in. They're still not sure about it. I've been watching him on the sidelines. He's grimacing every time that he's taking his practice runs. So far, they said it's still a wait and see.
Thank you, Sarah. The best defensive player, an all-star for the Eskimos. Could be a big loss here. Canal Peterson. Good grab right at the midfield stripe.
And that would be a doubly big loss for the Edmonton Eskimos if Jason Goss is unable to return because of the way their personnel align in the secondary. With Goss out, it causes two changes. John Tabule moves from corner into halfback, and then Tristan Jackson comes in at corner. So essentially you've got two guys playing out of position.
Point Montreal lead. Here's the rush, and Ricky Ray is flattened just as he let it go. The Alouette D-line right now putting a lot of heat on Ricky Ray.
Well, they sure are, and the Edmonton Eskimos need to start looking at some different strategies to deal with this pass rush. John Bowman goes low, Karan Williams goes high. Ricky Ray takes a heck of a shot here. But Edmonton need to be patient. 13-point ball game with a quarter and a half to go. They don't need to get it back all at once. There's lots of time to get 2 touchdowns here in this football game. You can use your screens and use your draws. Use some things that are going to slow down that pass rush a little bit.
Well, Prefontaine again. To return this time is Larry Taylor, who has taken one back. One of the key plays in the game so far. The Edmonton offense has yet to find the end zone, though. Montreal leads 26-13 in the East Final.
Well, on their last possession, the Montreal Alouettes showed a sign of a good football team. And that's focus. Even though things went wrong, 2 dropped passes where receivers were wide open for big gains. And, of course, the inadvertent whistle that eliminated their first touchdown. Montreal Alouettes kept ticking. There was no hang in their heads. They just kept playing and eventually got it in.
Their offense back on the field. Calvillo again out of trouble down the sideline, but overthrows his target, Kerry Watkins.
And it's been a while since we've seen a hurried throw from Anthony Calvillo. Part of that reason, the play by the running back, Avon Coburn. You see him in the backfield to the right of Anthony Calvillo. Done a tremendous job. Watch the safety blitz from Sadiq Shabazz. The recognition by Coburn to step up and get him at the line of scrimmage rather than being right in Calvillo's face to get him. Perfect technique.
Alouettes really using the clock to their advantage. Calvillo looks right, goes left. And Cahoon bursting forward, but it looks like he just might be a bit shy depending on the spot here. Will be 3rd down and short yardage, but Mark Trestman will send Damon Duvall out.
Well, you saw just a moment ago the protection by Avon Coburn. This is what he does so well. Game in, game out, and he's been doing it here today. It's been a big part of Montreal being allowed to throw the football. You notice as Coburn's getting it done in protection, how Calvillo always has time. One of the keys. Everybody talks about how he could have been a 1,000-yard rusher and receiver. It's more than just that. He covers all dimensions as a back.
Towering kick from Damon Duvall sends Jackson back near his 20. Tristan Jackson shakes one and another, trying to get some blocks on the wall. Stopped at the 25-yard line. 62-yard kick from Duvall, only a 5-yard return. Coming up, the West Final, Chris Cuthbert, Glenn Suter standing by. The Lions and the Stampeders, Buck Pierce, Henry Burris, the quarterback matchup coming up right after this game. Day began with 4 teams in the hunt for the Grey Cup. 2 will remain tonight. receivers. Kelly Campbell slipped, but hit hard by T.J. Hill. What a year it's been for T.J. Hill, maybe one of the more anonymous players at the beginning of the season. A lot of people got to know that number and that name.
Well, they sure did. This guy flies around game in, game out. Led the Montreal Alouettes with 84 tackles this season. He's 5'9", 195 pounds, but he plays a whole lot bigger than that.
It's down though, Ray hanging in, look out! Once again, Ricky Ray is dropped as he throws the football. Jermaine McElveen again.
Credit the Montreal secondary for that one. All the receivers are covered here. Ray hangs in as long as he can and is finally about to step up to throw. McElveen comes off his block, make the hit.
It's been a number of times at the last moment. Big Mick came out to get Ricky Ray. Now second, 10 yards to go. 4.5 to go in the third quarter. Out pattern, dangerous toss. Davis Sanchez, blanket coverage on Maurice Mann.
You hit the nail on the head, Rod, when you said dangerous throw. That short, wide side out. Looked like Ricky Ray floated that one a little bit as well. Davis Sanchez almost able to come in for an interception.
Ricky Ray and Anthony Calvillo have played in a lot of big games, Grey Cup games. 3, as a matter of fact, against each other. Ray has 1 up on Calvillo, 2 cups to 1. Today, Anthony Calvillo trying to take his team to the Grey Cup. Taylor back again, builds it at the 24. Larry Taylor. Davis Sanchez. The Montreal Alouettes loving it right now. 13-point lead. 8 days to the Grey Cup, and the Montreal Alouettes trying to continue their season. The Edmonton Eskimos looking to stay here in Montreal.
The Edmonton Eskimos, at least some of the veterans, Ricky Ray among them, have long memories and remember back to 2002, the Grey Cup in Edmonton. Montreal Alouettes denied them an opportunity to win at home. The Eskimos wouldn't mind returning that favor here.
Still is lots of time, even though it appears the Alouettes have the momentum, which swung their way late in the second quarter. Under 4 minutes left in the third. Coburn handles the nail again, tucks it. Avon Coburn. The X factor.
This Edmonton defense is starting to show some signs of fatigue. Missed tackles are the evidence of that. This is what happens as Montreal starts putting together drives and Edmonton responds with 2 and outs. It leaves the defense out on the field for a long time. They start paying in terms of that fatigue.
Only 5 feet 8 inches. You've seen what he's done with the blocks today. Again, a guy who played linebacker a little bit last year. Nowhere to go this time. Guy comes from an impoverished background in New Jersey. He's worked tirelessly off field here in the Montreal area. And I remember some of the games you and I had a chance to do this year when Mike Emo took over from him. And you saw the unselfishness of an Avon Coburn, how he was helping out the other backs. In the past in Montreal, if a back helped out another back, there was a good chance he might not be in next time.
Well, so true. There you see Mike Emo on the sidelines. These guys are each other's biggest fans.
Calvillo with more time. Richardson, sideline now. First down again. And as Montreal continues to seize momentum in this game, Anthony Calvillo appears to be afforded more protection.
Well, and Montreal, their offensive line is doing a terrific job adjusting to schemes that resulted in pressure in the first half. Sadiq Shabazz has played close to the line of scrimmage all day, often blitzing. He was one of the guys getting pressure early in this football game. Now we see Montreal picking him up at the line of scrimmage and giving Calvillo time.
Bullet over the middle for Cahoon. Shannon Garrett makes the tackle, but the Alouettes threaten to score again here.
Ben Cahoon just heads right down the middle of the field on this play. He lines up as a middle receiver or inside receiver to the left side. Sadiq Shabazz comes on the blitz. He's out of the middle. Shannon Garrett's got to rotate from his strong side linebacker spot, but here you see how wide open the middle of the field is because of that safety blitz. Montreal picks it up at the line of scrimmage and then takes advantage of it on the back end.
Almost a 100-yard receiving day for a guy who owns the record books in Montreal, Ben Cahoon. Colburn. Eric Taylor there for the slam down on Evan Coburn.
Montreal has been imposing their will since those last few minutes of the first half. Edmonton's got to find a way to stop the momentum, whether it's some sort of big defensive stop here, a special teams play, as we saw them come up with in the first quarter, a blocked punt for a touchdown to get some momentum. Or that big pass that they just haven't been able to connect on offensively, but they need something.
Calvillo looks, Richardson to the 5. Had to get to the 2-yard line for the first down.
Looks like he's just short as Damon Duval makes his way out onto the field.
Mark Trestman not in any real big gambling mood today. You saw early on how he knew that points were going to be so precious in this ball game.
And you see Mark Trestman on the sidelines, his demeanor just so calm, and if you read his lips there as his offense came off the field, he said, good job. These guys again came up with a drive that ate up time, kept Ricky Ray off the field, and wore down Edmonton's defense. Even if it only results in 3, there are still positives to what they've done out there.
As the end of the third quarter looms, Montreal for a 16-point lead. Mark Trestman, how important has he been to the Montreal Alouettes' fortunes this season? Here's Anwar Stewart.
In the previous years, you know, we really haven't been used to structure. You know, Coach Matthews kind of been able to do kind of like our own thing or whatever. And with Coach Trestman, you know, he's very disciplined. He's very sound. You know, I call him my little drill sergeant. You know, he's very focused. And I think that's one of the things that he's really brought to this team.
It's those little things that make all the difference in the world. That organization, that structure, getting everybody on the same page, communication.
Ricky Ray struggling to move the football. There's that swing pass out of the backfield to McCarty. About half the first down yardage, maybe a little more, and no penalty markers down, so that is the final play of the third quarter. The Eskimos trying to rally. The Alouettes 15 minutes away. Calvillo showing no signs of rust right now. Al's lead. Third quarter numbers brought to you by Tim Hortons. Always fresh, always.
And Rod, you mentioned that rust. So many people questioned whether the long layoff for the Alouettes and Anthony Calvillo in particular would be an issue. I would contend that it was, as they were slow to get started in this football game, but they've sure shaken that off, and they have been on fire for about the last 20 minutes of this ball game, looking like the Montreal Alouette team we've seen all year.
They've really owned time of possession. That is a key. Also, you saw the net yards from the Edmonton Eskimos. A very un-Ricky Ray-like day as Anthony Calvillo has been piling up the yardage, particularly from late in the second half. The Eskimos look like a downtrodden team right now. They need a spark. Fourth quarter begins. Second short yardage. Ray into traffic for Kamau Peterson, and he's lucky that that was not intercepted.
Khalil Carter that time with pretty good coverage on Kamau Peterson. Virtually ran the route for him. Peterson is going to run a corner route to the right side of your screen, and you'll see Khalil Carter is in front of him the whole way on this route. Knew what was coming.
And even though Ricky Ray has only had that much in offense, credit the Montreal defense, particularly that front seven, for creating that duress that Ricky Ray has been under. Prefontaine. Spiraling kick sends Larry Taylor to his 15. Taylor dancing. Could he go again? Larry Taylor to the 40. He's gone. Oh, what a day for Larry Taylor. Can you believe that?
97 yards for Larry Taylor. Putting an exclamation point on this performance for the Montreal Alouettes. Early on, that blocked punt for a touchdown by Edmonton made it look like Edmonton was the team that was going to dominate in special teams. Montreal's return unit has answered back in a big way. Taylor doing it just like it's coached. Get up the field in a hurry, gets a couple of terrific blocks down the field, and away he goes.
That was blocking at its finest. Taylor has the jets, no doubt about it. But those blocks that sprung him resulted in that 97-yard touchdown. That's 2 returns for Larry Taylor to the house. And this game starting now to look like that game in late September when the Alouettes blew out the Eskimos.
It sure does. A 40-4 victory for the Montreal Alouettes on that day as they kept the Edmonton offense, much like they have today, from scoring a touchdown. Montreal putting up points with special teams and offense. Here we see the special teams by Larry Taylor. First one makes the first man miss and then just outruns the other 11. Second time around, Taylor starts off straight up the field, gets a terrific block by Etienne Boulay on the punter, Noel Prefontaine. That was the one that sprung him. 97 yards for the touchdown.
It's almost hard to believe that Larry Taylor was standing on the sideline at the beginning of the season watching. And here, near the end of this football season, on the verge of a trip to the Grey Cup, is one of their stars.
This is where you invest in your young guys. He sat behind a veteran, Jason Armstead, earlier in the year. Montreal felt that the young guy would have the bigger upside. Would give them a little bit more as the year went on. Larry Taylor providing a huge return on that investment here today.
Life is timing. Think about Larry Taylor on the sideline, not playing. Jason Armstead has a couple of brain cramps in a game early in the season and then gets cut by the Alouettes. Taylor takes over and has taken over this ballgame. CFL single game playoff record. 2 touchdowns. Als lead 36-13. And the Eskimos need to strike quickly here. There's a penalty flag that just flew. As they sort out the penalty, let's go down to the sideline once again and join Sarah.
Thanks so much, Rod. You said that you've been talking about how this is reminding you a little bit of that 40-4 game. While talking to some of the Eskimos, they said they don't think that this is anything that the Alouettes are necessarily doing to them. It's their own mistakes. They said this is something that they think that they can fix, that they're taking responsibility for. It's not the crowd noise. It's not anything like that. This is their own miscues. Dan Comiskey just came up to me and said, have you given up on us yet? Don't. We've still got a game to play.
If they believe they can fix it, they better start the repairs in a hurry.
Yeah, you better hurry, as Kenny Onatolu chirps on the sideline. 13 minutes to go. That can be an eternity in the Canadian Football League. But they have to score suddenly. Ray. Maurice Mann. What a difference about 90 minutes is made in this ball game. The Eskimos had imposed their will. There was little resistance from the Alouettes, and suddenly this game turned.
Well, you get that feeling for any team playing against Montreal that if they're able to hold their offense in check for a while, they better get some points up on the board before Montreal wakes up. And Edmonton's offense just hasn't been able to do that. It's true, there's a lot of time left, and this Edmonton team has shown tremendous resiliency all year long, bouncing back from various kinds of adversity. But they haven't even shown signs here, and that's where the concern comes in.
So just shy of a first down. Danny Machocha's homecoming to Montreal. Again, grew up here. Began his football coaching experience with Montreal as a volunteer. Unpaid job, and now a head coach with the Eskimos. 2nd and 1, Ray in the shotgun. Has one to burn, I guess, over the top, and Kelly Campbell with that big play. Matthew Prue with the lick.
This is an absolutely fantastic route by Kelly Campbell. I've seen Alan Pitts run this one 1,000 times. Watch the footwork as he fakes the out. Khalil Carter bites, and then he turns it upfield. Secures the catch even though he knows contact is coming. Great play by number 71.
And if there is reason not to give up on the Eskimos, it's this guy. Kelly Campbell has turned games around. Peterson went backwards there, and his forward progress, however, gives him the spot near the midfield stripe.
Peterson tried to work back towards the ball at the end of that play. Just ended up continuing to work backwards after he caught it. See Kamau Peterson, the inside receiver here. Runs an out route as he's got the two guys clearing in front of him. Looked like he was just trying to get a little better angle to get to the outside of the defender who was approaching. Got tackled from behind instead.
2nd and 4. Ray going deep once again for the big play guy who's got it and scores a touchdown.
That's the one they needed.
Kelly Campbell does it again.
Well, you can almost smell this one coming. Kelly Campbell, the inside receiver in this set. He's going deep all the way on this one. Gets the defensive back turned around. Ricky Ray throws a perfect ball to the outside, so the free safety, Matthew Prue, can't help out on it. Campbell turns on the Jets for those last couple yards. Get it in there.
Dan Comiskey, you're right on the money. Don't give up yet. Lots of time left. And the Eskimos have responded exactly the way they needed to. And the lead once again.
I need everybody to come with me.
Back to 16. Mr. Big Play. And Rick, the Eskimos strike quickly and get back to within 16 points. Diamond Ferry on the return. So now the Eskimo defense will be put to the test here. 2 and out, and the momentum may have even swung more to the Eskimo side of the field.
Well,
Mama, get you up here. Mama, Kanisha, Aisha, Kaylee, everybody. I'm gonna get you up here. You will come up here next week.
Bold statement from Kelly Campbell, the unflappable Ricky Ray.
Well, Kelly Campbell's called his shot once before. Remember, he was the guy who said a couple weeks ago, see you in Montreal for the East Final.
Leo, pitch pass to Richardson. Jamel Richardson makes one tackler miss. And the big play guy for the Alouettes responds.
Well, we were waiting for those signs of life from the Edmonton Eskimos. The offense delivered. The defense has got to answer the call. Jamel Richardson lines up on the outside, short side of the field here, right side on the hitch screen. 2 steps up, a step back. Makes the catch. runs through some arm tackles. Can't do that against a 220-pound guy like Jamal Richardson.
Again on a hitch pass. 10 yards away from 100 on the afternoon. Coburn stopped in his tracks. And on a Tolu. Now it will be second. 6 or 7 yards now. And the Edmonton defense needs a hold.
Edmonton making some adjustments in personnel here. Brandon Guillory comes to the sidelines. Tyler Klutz goes in. Guillory looks like he's getting some instructions from the coaching staff over there.
Beal again in the shotgun. In trouble. Goes up the middle and slides. And on that second down play, the Eskimos defense does the job and will force the Alouettes to kick it away.
This is a huge stop for the Edmonton Eskimos defense. Come up with one big play on special teams here today already. See if this part of the team can again pick up the slack.
A little more life on that Eskimo sideline now. 9.5 to go. Tristan Jackson. Know what he can do if he gets some running room. Sidesteps one, but not another. The Eskimos offense needs to kick it back into gear.
So I'm going
Ricky Ray and the Eskimos down 16. Just over 9 minutes to go, fourth quarter. In the middle again, and another completion to Maurice Mann. Ricky Ray is starting to find some rhythm now. That's not a good sign for the Alouettes.
Montreal's linebackers are getting pretty deep drops here, which is allowing Ricky Ray to hit some underneath routes. Now, as he starts to complete a few of those, look for that over-the-top shot again to a Kelly Campbell or possibly Maurice Mann.
Four-man rush, middle again, but that one out of the reach of Kelly Campbell. Not a good toss that time. So it'll be second down and 10 yards to go.
So watch the clock. I'm sure impatience is setting in a little bit for the Edmonton Eskimos. If they can hold their horses a little bit, there are those opportunities for some underneath throws here.
McCarty in the backfield with Ray. And short of a first down, Kamal Peterson. And it's going to be about 1.5 yards. Third down play coming up. 8 minutes to go. That is maybe even almost 2 yards, 2.5 yards. And no signal yet from the Eskimos sideline. And it looks like they're going for it.
Well, the only signal from Danny Machocha was to give Ricky Ray the next play.
Here it is. Third down. 2 yards to go. Ray in the shotgun. The first down from Peterson on a clutch throw from Ricky Ray.
But Ricky Ray, calm, cool demeanor, rubs off on his teammates in situations like this. There's no panic, they just execute the play. Ricky Ray takes his drop, they send the crossers. Everyone expects on crossing routes it's going to Kelly Campbell. They leave Kamal Peterson alone.
Fresh set of downs. Ray going deep and overthrows. No man. Well, the Edmonton Eskimos may say that they're not going to die in this game because they have football boy in their corner, or at least on the shelf in their locker room. This little figurine has been around for the last few years. It's been a good luck charm for the Eskimos.
Well, it sure has, particularly in the postseason on the road as they are today. Little winning streak dating back to 2003. Undefeated in the postseason on the road when football boys along for the ride.
Second down, Ray hangs in again, and once again, Mr. Clutch, Kamal Peterson. This one looks like it might move the yardsticks. Had to get just over the 40-yard line, and it will be another first down. And that's where Kamal Peterson has been exceptional this year on those 2nd and 10, those possession plays.
Making those conversions for his quarterback. You see his numbers here today, very quietly, very Kamal Peterson-like. Up over that century mark again with 123 yards.
6 minutes to go. And almost picked off. Khalil Carter had it in his hands. Kelly Campbell did not see that ball coming. Khalil Carter did and almost had an interception.
Well, the Eskimos, to me, got greedy on this play. Watch Kamal Peterson, who's the inside receiver. He's going to run a crossing route, a drag route on this play. He's open underneath. Those are the routes that Edmonton's been hitting. Looked like Ray tried to force that one in to Kelly Campbell instead of taking what he was given.
Another huge 2nd and 10 play. Ray on the out pattern, and once again they convert to Kelly Campbell.
And the theme continues on this drive. They're completing passes in front of the Montreal defenders, marching the football, doing it. Kelly Campbell just runs the out route against Mark Estelle. Estelle's given him a cushion because he's seen the speed of Kelly Campbell. So instead of going deep, Campbell breaks it off. Easy first down for the Eskimos.
The clock such a factor now. Just over 5.5. Eskimos again, almost a must possession here to score. The far sideline, and Peterson can't bring that in.
Peterson just had a tough time adjusting to the football. Leaves the Eskimos in a 2nd and 10 situation again.
Another critical 2nd and 10. Peterson hit hard by Davis Sanchez. The spot will be another couple yards short.
They have to go for it here. You saw them go for it. A 2nd and or a 3rd and 2 situation.
This is 3rd and almost 5, Dwayne.
They need touchdowns here. Field goals won't do at this point.
Well, it worked once. It has to work again, or that could be all she wrote. Ray looks to the end zone, and incomplete. No penalty marker. 4 minutes to go, and the Alouettes that far from hosting next week's Grey Cup.
Is wide open here. Would have been an easy first down, and he might have scored because all the deep routes cleared things out in front of him.
4 minutes to go. Anthony Calvillo expects something maybe a little conservative, I was going to say, but not so much. Shannon Garrett brings him down. Eskimos need another big defensive stop here. Get the football back.
Look for the Eskimos to be trying to rip the football out of ball carriers' hands, punch it loose, do whatever they can to create a turnover in this part of the field. Maybe this is why there was a sack. Lenny Williams with a hold on Ben Cahoon, one of the primary receivers.
Inside 3.5 minutes now. Keeping it on the ground, and so the Alouettes will have to give the football back to Edmonton, but time ticking away on the Edmonton Eskimos season.
Montreal here will no doubt run down the clock before kicking this football. They cannot take a safety in spite of this field position, the 16-point ball game. So they've got to kick it. We've seen this punt return team get pressure a couple times, including a punt block for a touchdown earlier. See if they go for that or the return here.
And they have that lethal weapon, number 38, Tristan Jackson, near midfield. Wobble snap. Wobbly kick. Jackson. A little hot potato there, but brings it into Montreal territory, and a penalty flag flies. 3-minute warning. Danny Machocha's last hopes here for the Eskimos.
Matchup necessarily that everybody anticipated, but special teams, particularly Montreal, those two big punt return touchdowns from Larry Taylor.
Ricky Ray through the pocket. And fumbling the football was Calvin McCarty, but he was down already. We have not seen much of that from the Eskimos. It was so effective last week in Winnipeg.
In the early going of this ball game, Montreal covered those routes very well when the backs got out of the backfield. They were on them in a hurry. The opportunities have been there now as Montreal is laying back a little bit more defensively, trying to avoid giving up the deep passes. But time-wise, it's not in Edmonton's favor now to nickel and dime them.
2nd and 4. Launching again for Fred Stamps, who has it. Stamps finally out of bounds at the 25-yard line. So again, a 16-point game, mandatory right now for the Eskimos to get it to the end zone. We're going to have to pull out a few miracles here in these final 2 minutes.
Well, Edmonton's greatest successes in throwing the ball deep have come on those corner routes. Saw that one to Stamps, a big one to Kamal Peterson in the first half. Kelly Campbell has been open a couple times on those routes as well.
Ray avoids the pressure and one hops one to the sideline.
Well, that's a throwaway for Ricky Ray to get the clock stopped rather than him running around for nothing. He knows he's playing 3-down football, so he's got a couple more shots here.
Game that began so strangely. Blocked punt. Eskimos led, Ricky Ray and Edmonton. Only one offensive touchdown here. Montreal Alouettes seized control late in the second quarter, have not looked back. Is that screen, and Chip Cox drops Calvin McCarty. And now with 1:58 to go, 3rd down, this is it. This is it.
And the opportunity was there on that play. McCarty released a little bit too quickly and was too wide relative to his blockers. He's had two of his big old linemen, Kabongo and Armstrong, out in front of him. But McCarty was too close to them, which allowed the defender, Chip Cox, to make the tackle.
top. Kamal Peterson drops it. That will do it. A minute 37 to go. The deal is sealed.
Crowd here in Montreal knows it. Now Peterson's got an opening. Well, initially, it looked like Peterson might have been able to put two hands on that ball, but looking at it again, he had to give it a full stretch just to get one on it and try and pull it in.
Alouettes offense on the field. The O-lineman telling the crowd to calm down, keep it down here. A minute 37. The Alouettes do not want to make any mistakes. That is the sign of resignation there from Danny Machocha. Calvillo still airs it out though for Watkins. Why not, I guess, when you've done it all day.
Well, and for Montreal, bear in mind, this is their offense. High percentage passes still. They feel safe throwing them.
The Alouettes will host the Grey Cup against either Calgary or BC next Sunday, 3 o'clock Eastern, 12 Pacific. The first team to keep their home dressing room, although it's not really their home dressing room because they play at Molson Stadium, but to be the home team at the Grey Cup since 2002, and the Edmonton Eskimos. Last team to win the Grey Cup at home, the 1994 BC Lions. Avon Colburn will be stopped, and the Eskimos will get the ball back, but they ran out of time here in this fourth quarter. Anthony Calvillo is a little upset, but just not enough time here for Ricky Ray and the Eskimos, and a 16-point deficit.
The Eskimos, they beat Montreal at their own game in some ways. Montreal is a team that has typically won games in the first quarter and put teams away in the fourth. The Eskimos won the first quarter, and they sure hung around here in the fourth. It was those quarters in between, though, where things got turned around.
There you see Mike Kelly, quarterback receivers coach, expected to be the new head coach and possibly general manager in Winnipeg. Pretty much a done deal. Doug Barry fired this week. We might see Doug Barry in Edmonton next year as an assistant coach.
Well, the Eskimos are likely to lose at least one other offensive coach. Kelly goes.
Tristan Jackson still on his feet. Tristan Jackson, will he take it the distance? Jackson will go. 50 seconds to go, a 76-yard return, and a little bit of a spark here.
Yeah, don't go anywhere just yet.
And they needed exactly that. If there is any hope at all, they needed that to go back, and it did.
Well, it sure did. A couple of great blocks at the initial point of attack. Then it's just the Mississippi Missile doing his thing, outrunning people. Still a critical two-point conversion necessary from the Edmonton offense here, though.
Needing 2 touchdowns, 2 two-point conversions. Again, the deficit was 16.
Ricky Ray has asked for the ball to be placed on the left hash here. Gives him a little bit more field to work with to the right side.
300 returns today for touchdowns. Unbelievable. Have to get the two-point conversion and a whistle. Well, you should never say never in the Canadian Football League, but who would have thought that Tristan Jackson would have been able to juke and jive his way to the end zone there.
Time count violation. Edmonton number 15. Repeat the convert. 5 yards back.
And this is pretty much irrelevant. The extra 5 yards really don't make a difference for Edmonton here. But I'll tell you, as you see Mark Trestman I remember talking to him late in the season. I asked him, what's the biggest thing you learned over the course of your first year in the CFL? He said the last 3 minutes are night and day compared to American football.
Ricky Ray, the deep part of the end zone, knocked away. Khalil Carter with a huge play. 50 seconds to go.
That one just hung up a little bit too long. Needed to be thrown on a little bit more of a line, but Ricky Ray has to throw this one through the goalpost, so he can't throw a dart for Kelly Campbell. That's what allows Khalil Carter time to get there to make this play. Had to put it up through the goalposts.
So expect a short kickoff here from the Eskimos. Try anything at this point. Mark Trestman still doesn't look like a guy who's overly excited. He's just a guy who so cool. His team going to the Grey Cup. Here's our TSN turning point.
Well, you talk about sudden change in a football game. It can happen on turnovers. It can happen on special teams. The Montreal Alouettes did it with the latter. A couple of Larry Taylor punt return touchdowns. The Edmonton Eskimos thought they had hope. Larry Taylor stuffed it out with those big plays.
TSN Turning Point brought to you by the 2008 GMC Sierra Professional Grade. So the Eskimos need to recover this short kick. Again, immediately get it to the end zone. (36-26). Is up high enough, and the Eskimos have it.
It looked like number 86, Maurice Mann, was the man who went up and got it. We had a sense with this Edmonton team early in the year. We saw them with that late comeback win against Calgary. You see number 86 in the middle of the crowd. Well-executed play, but this team, Jason Tucker's catch against Calgary. We saw them come back from devastating injuries to Fred Perry and Jason Tucker. This is a special football team. There's no quit in these guys. They've shown it all year.
No quit. And again, have to get to the house. Ricky Ray. 41 seconds to go, and again, but you're right. Edmonton football fans have a lot to be proud of. 34 straight years of playoff teams in Edmonton, then 2 straight years of a drought. They still finish in last place this year, but are able to cross over. And they have given reason for Eskimo football fans to believe again. Time running out on their season. Ray for Stamps. Fred Stamps was only a couple steps behind that football.
Fred Stamps might have had a shot at this ball, but one subtle little bump by Marcus Stell cost him about a step here as he ran that route. Outside man on the play is Fred Stamps. Marcus Stell is in coverage, watches the balls in the air. Just as Stell bumps him coming in from the outside, slowed him down just enough to take away any chance Stamps had at getting to that football.
Oh, here it is again. 3rd down for the Eskimos. Ray fumbles. That will give Montreal the football. 28 seconds remain on the clock.
Nemesis got Ricky Ray again. His entire career in the Canadian Football League, only one team has beaten Ricky Ray in the postseason. the Montreal Alouettes as they do it here for the second time.
There's Jim Pop, who was the coach last year, GM now, of course, and Mark Trestman, who he hired. Alouettes will take the knee. And how about the turnaround as well for Anthony Calvillo? And Mark Trestman just took a Gatorade bath.
You think back to the offseason, Rod.
Is that a smile, by the way? I think that's a smile.
That's about as much emotion as you'll see out of Mark Trestman. You think back to the offseason.
He's not happy, is he? Look at him.
Probably the most questioned move of the entire offseason was the Montreal Alouettes hiring of Mark Trestman.
Jim Pop's happy. Mark Trestman has always said this year to us, it's not about the next game. It's always about this game. This game, and I can tell you right now, you know what he's thinking about? Next week. That's the kind of football coach he is.
We won't see a full smile unless he comes away with a victory in the big one.
Now the clock ticking. 20 seconds. Danny Machocha's homecoming spoiled. Anthony Calvillo, a year ago away from his team. Montreal Alouettes last were in the Grey Cup in 2006. They're going back, and they don't have to go far. The Alouettes are the Eastern Division champions and will host the Grey Cup a week from tomorrow. Let's go down to Sarah Orleski with the winning coach.
Coach, you get your first Gatorade bath as a head coach in the CFL. You don't show much emotion, but what's going through your mind right now? How proud of you are you of this team?
Sarah, that's exactly what I was going to say. Our team has tremendous backbone. We took Edmonton's best shot today, and we stood the test. I was really proud of our football team. I thought both teams played very, very hard, played big-time football all across the board, and I'm just proud to be on this field and be part of it all today.
What in your mind was the turning point in this game?
Well, I think we withstood their punch early. You know, we didn't get off to a good start offensively. They returned a kick for a touchdown. There were some things that really didn't go our way from the start, and we battled back. The second quarter, we did some great things to drive-wise, and I thought our offense overcoming 2 drop balls in the first series of the third quarter and then going on to score was huge.
Thanks so much.
Okay, Sarah. Thank you.
Back to you, Rod.
Mark Trestman, Anthony Calvillo. The Alouettes are going back to the Cup right here in Montreal next week. All that's left to be determined who they'll play.